After Senator McCain's surgery last week for a blood clot, this is the worst case scenario. Surgeons now say they found a brain tumor. And John McCain, maybe the last American war hero, is in the fight of his life. Surgeons at Phoenix's Mayo Clinic performed a craniotomy last week on Senator John McCain, drilling into his skull to remove a blood clot over his eye. McCain's doctors announced Wednesday that tests revealed it was a brain tumor. The 80-year-old McCain and his family are reviewing the next steps in treatment, including chemotherapy and radiation. McCain's doctors say he is recovering from his surgery amazingly well, and his underlying health is excellent. Senator Jeff Flake told 12 News that McCain broke the news to him in a nonchalant way Wednesday afternoon, before it became public.
It was several minutes into the conversation before I'd asked him how he was feeling today, and he said, feeling okay, but have some chemotherapy coming up. That's when I knew.
McCain has been a national and international figure for half a century. His heroism defined by his surviving 6 years as a prisoner of war in Vietnam. After he was freed, McCain would adopt Arizona as his home. He served 35 years in Congress and the Senate and was the Republican presidential nominee in 2008.
I can tell you it has been the honor of a lifetime to be known as the other senator from Arizona. And I can't imagine the Senate without him.
And Jeff Flake told me he does expect to see John McCain back in the Senate before it adjourns for the summer. Live in the newsroom, Bram Resnick, 12 News at 10.
All right, thanks so much, Bram. The next step is to explore treatment options. But what exactly is glioblastoma, and how aggressive can this form of cancer be? Team 12's Ryan Cody spoke with a leading neurosurgeon. And Ryan, where do McCain's doctors go from here?
Well, Caribe, that depends on the results of genetic testing on the tumor. Information doctors get from that test will determine not only prognosis, but treatment.
Well, this is probably the most aggressive type of tumor that we have that arises directly in the brain tissue.
But Dr. Joseph Zabramski of the Barrow Neurological Institute says treatment options vary, depending on the tumor's genetics.
We just don't have enough information yet about his particular tumor to know how aggressive it's going to be. They're all aggressive, but some are much more resistant to treatment than others.
McCain's options are radiation and chemotherapy, but a cure is often not possible.
Survival is extremely variable from person to person.
But this person, despite being 80 years old, has the right characteristics for beating it.
I think that's probably the most important factor. He's in generally very good health, and he has that will.
As for his will to continue working through treatment, that's up to Senator McCain. But as for the notion he could be back on Capitol Hill in 2 weeks,
I think that's very possible. He had a minimally invasive surgery, and he would just be starting his treatments at that time. He's going to be the strongest that he's going to be at that point.
what advice as a medical professional would you give to Senator McCain if he was sitting here?
To not give up, that everyone is different and that the prognosis is highly variable. I myself have a number of patients who are long-term survivors from this, and I just can't predict who's going to do that.
As for how he got it, Zabramski says that there is no bearing, his stressful job has no bearing on it, nor does his previous bouts with melanoma or his age. So there's no telling on exactly what made him susceptible to this type of cancer. We're live in the newsroom. Ryan Cody, 12 News at 10.
All right, Ryan, thanks. There's an outpouring of support on social media tonight, including former Governor Jan Brewer, who is with us tonight. And Governor, thanks for coming in.
Oh, I wish it was under different circumstances.
I do too, and you know, the thing I keep thinking about is how much John McCain has been through in his life. True American hero, spent years in a Vietnamese prison camp being tortured. As Ryan said, he's been through melanoma and now this.
I know, it's just absolutely heartbreaking to hear the news today, you know, but I will say this about John McCain. He has stared evil in the eye before, and he won. And so, you know, we need to, everybody needs to remember him in their prayers, and for Cindy and his family, and he's a winner.
You know, I would consider you a dyed-in-the-wool Arizona politician. Dyed-in-the-wool Arizonan, and I feel the same way about Senator McCain. I know him from interviewing him. I don't know him the way you know him. Tell us about the John McCain you know.
Well, the John McCain I know, I met about 36 years ago, and he was running for the United States Congress, and I was running for the state House of Representatives, and then he moved to the Senate, and I moved to the Senate. So we've sort of been joined at the hip throughout our careers. And he's a dynamic man who really believes in his country, loves his country, and he's very spirited. He's funny. He's got a great sense of humor. We've campaigned together. We've traveled, you know, across this wonderful state of ours together. And he's got the energy. He's got the energy and the willpower to do anything. I mean, he's amazing. He's absolutely amazing.
And you know, when you say that, it makes me think of the word maverick.
Yes.
That was coined when he was running for president.
Absolutely. He's always been a maverick. I remember the first time I met him, and he was young and good looking. He's still good looking, but he was younger. And I met him at the University Club here in Arizona, and he was just dynamic and just energized and just a maverick. And he was moving into our state, and he was going to go places, and he loved Arizona, you know. So, and married Cindy, and I mean, it's just.
Look, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here, but I did want to ask you, you know, we had that moment during the Comey hearings when the senator had that moment where he seemed confused. Did that give you a moment of pause to wonder if he was okay? Because some people have speculated that maybe something was going on there.
You know, I just thought it was probably bad news reporting. I mean, I saw it when it happened, and I thought, well, everybody slips up now and then. Why blame it on something like that? You know, I've always been a big defender of John because he is an American hero, and he is a maverick, and he loves Arizona, and so I didn't think very much of it at all. I just sort of brushed it aside. In denial, maybe. I don't know.
Well,
you know?
Hopefully Senator Flake is right when he says before the end of the summer we'll see Senator McCain back on the Senate floor.
Amen. Yes, I hope so. I hope so.
Governor, thanks for coming down
Thank
tonight.
you.
Good to see you, as always.
Thank you.
Grebe.
All right, thanks, Mark. Well, as you can imagine, the reaction has been pouring in on social media. President Trump tweeting, "Melania and I send our thoughts and prayers to Senator McCain. Cindy, their entire family, get well soon." Former President Obama, Senator McCain's opponent in 2008, tweeting, "John McCain is an American hero and one of the bravest fighters I've ever known. Cancer doesn't know what it's up against. Give it hell, John." And Governor Doug Ducey writing, "John McCain is undoubtedly the toughest man in the U.S. Senate. He's an American hero and has served our country like few ever will." And Hillary Clinton tweeting, "John McCain is as tough as they come," thinking of John, Cindy, and their wonderful children.